Good evening, this is Eswatini TV News at 8, read to you by myself, Nasile Sitole, alongside Noma Klabiso and Gambule. First up, let's have a look at our top stories.
Different entities have donated close to 100,000 emalangeni towards the Mahamba gorge hiking scheduled to take place this year. The Ministry of Health continues with its consultations as it amends the Opium and Habit-Forming Drug Act. The Zimnini Chief Dom has met with residents to look for ways of benefiting from government funds.
And now the news in detail. Different companies and entities have donated close to 100,000 emalangeni towards the Mahamba gorge hiking sport scheduled to take place in April this year in the Zimnini region. Speaking during the official launch of the hiking sport at King Sopuza Memorial Park at Lobamba, the Acting Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Harris Bulunga, says supporting the sport is important as it is aimed at providing socio-economic development for the people in the region.
Different companies supported the Mahamba gorge hiking sport with money and merchandise valued at 100,000 emalangeni. Some of the donations include food, promotional bags and sun hats to name a few. The hiking has been launched at the King Sopuza Memorial Park at Lobamba and it is expected to take place in April this year.
The Mahamba Gorge 8th edition hike, in support of the government effort and in collaboration with you, our wonderful sponsors, has once again chosen the theme, Hiking Against Gender-Based Violence. This is to continue supporting government's efforts of ending gender-based violence and raise awareness against any form of violence in Eswatini. This theme, as it has been said earlier, is relevant to the Eswatini region since they have just been experiencing a range of challenges that are GBV related, some emanating from the frustrations of the COVID-19 pandemic and other social ills. This theme also harmonizes the objectives of the hike, which is to alleviate poverty by supporting and empowering deserving communities from the sponsorship that it receives. However, we still request more sponsors to support this initiative as it is hoped that the present one can also increase whatever they've been offering. Mahamba gorge hiking managed to fulfill its mandate of changing the lives of the vulnerable people through support from our sponsors and partners. Through this noble initiative, they were able to distribute food parcels to over 120 households in the Zimnini region in areas such as Ngwene, Zimnini 2, Zombodze, Somdongo, and Masaisini, reaching out to over 1,000 beneficiaries. And the food aid program also targeted the Tlatikulu Girls Home, which accommodates young girls who are victims of GBV. Currently, the building project has managed to complete the 5th house for a vulnerable family in.
The minister urges more companies to support the initiative. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla with Linda Dlamini, Lobamba.
The Ministry of Health continues with its consultations as it amends the Opium and Habit-Forming Drugs Act. The ministry meets chiefs from the Hoho region to get their views as the law is being amended. The Principal Secretary, Dr. Simon Zwane, says chiefs are an important stakeholder of the ministry, so their views and input are important.
The Ministry of Health has met Bobabeti Kulu from the Hoho region at Kobolondlo Hall in Pikes Peak as it continues to consult on the Opium and Habit-Forming Drug Act of 1922.
The Ministry of Health is in the process of amending the Opium and Habit-Forming Substances Act of 1922. This is an important undertaking in terms of consultations. We we mapped out different stakeholders that we would consult before, proceeding with the amendments as well as regulations for that particular bill. Chiefs, as well as all traditional leaders, are an important stakeholder for us, and we decided that we start with them to find out their views in as far as medicinal use and research use of cannabis. As we are in the process of doing that amendment, we will be consulting other stakeholders that we have mapped out, and then once we have done that, then we will take this piece of legislation or bill to Cabinet and then Parliament. This, however, I think I need to explain that this does not necessarily mean that if we have not consulted you or that particular stakeholder, all doors are closed. We still have that process in Parliament where the parliamentarians will open for people to bring in their views in as far as this bill is concerned.
The Principal Secretary says the ministry plans to meet all stakeholders as it amends the Act. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla with Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Peak Speak.
The Ministry of Health has consulted with chiefs from the Eswatini region through a presentation of a proposed amendment of the Opium and Habit-Forming Drugs Act of 1922, or rather 1922, which the ministry is currently amending. This was said by the legal advisor in the Ministry of Health, Zimnini.
Following an overwhelming number of applications for licenses to cultivate cannabis in the country, the Ministry of Health has seen the need to amend the Opium and Habit-Forming Drugs Act of 1922 to provide for increased fines pertaining to crimes committed under the Act. Zandile Dlamini, who is the legal advisor at the Ministry of Health, expounds on that and other reasons for the amendment.
The ministry sat down and went through the existing laws in the country and found that cannabis is actually provided for in the Opium and Habit-Forming Drugs Act of 1922. So upon scrutinizing the bill, we realized that there is a need to amend the bill to provide for increased fines for crimes that are committed under the Act, and so we have increased the fines. Now we have that those amendments also to cater for new definitions in the Act, as well as to designate the Medicines Regulatory Authority, which was established by the Medicines and Related Substances Control Act of 2016. We now have that Medicines Regulatory Authority in place, and that is the body that will be responsible for regulating cannabis in the country. So we are essentially domesticating a convention that we signed as a country, which is called the Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs of 1961, as amended by the 1972 Protocol. So that convention provides that if a country decides to allow its citizens to produce cannabis, that country has to ensure that that cannabis is produced only for medicinal and scientific purposes, scientific or research purposes only.
Chief Malambule Mdluli of Mbilaneni Chiefdom says Shiseloni chiefs are not satisfied with the proposal.
Akusiyo into lesiyithakaselako ngesizathu sekungukuthi cishe lokuningi sebakuhlalile etafuleni bakudiscussa bakudrafta naphasi, so lamhla sebathi awusitshela ngale mithetho labafike kiyo bona balitiko lokuthi batakusebenta kanjani bangafike etikhulwini tikhulu-ke tikubukile lokho tathi no tiyacela lokho ukuthi lokuningi akuyiwele ma-communities la kunesive khona sive sisho imvo yaso.
The Ministry of Health will conduct further consultations with chiefs from the other 3 regions of the country as the week progresses. Sifiso Ngumalo with Smova Shongwe for Eswatini TV News, Hlangano.
The voluntary medical male circumcision has trained 11 nurses who will be deployed in different health facilities around the country. The national coordinator, Vusi Mazia, says this is to ensure that Eswatini have easy access to health services and receive it within a short space of time in all the facilities.
To ensure effective voluntary medical male circumcision, the Ministry of Health, with the help of different partners, has trained 11 nurses under the program. The national coordinator, Vusi Mazia, says this is to ensure that people have easy access to the service. He says it was only doctors who were equipped with circumcision skill, hence the need to add more health workers with the skill. He encourages men to circumcise.
Solo le program ilitwa bodokotela. So as much as bonesi beba participator ekuhlelweni kwekusoka eveni basita futhi etigabeni letinyenti kodwa nje lokukhatha bekwendiwa bodokotela. Kwabonakala ke ukuthi kuze ku-addresseke le gap yekushoda wabodokotela. Litiko alisivumele siyiprogram ukuthi si-train bonesi kokuthi nabo sale ba-participator la ekusokeni. So namhla ke sitolontsha lokho kumcoka kakhulu ngakwekokuthi ku-addressa igap yokuthi bayashoda vele sebenzi tempilo ikakhulu bodokotela abasibo banyenti kanti bonesi bavame babanyenti siyabakhicita sitrainela khona locally so kukhanza ukuthi vele sishaya inyoni letinyenti ngekuthi sale kuvunyelwa bonesi ukuthi basoke.
The Population Services International reported in November last year that through working with government, it has circumcised 50,000 men in the past 5 years. Reporting for Eswatini TV, I'm Linda Dlamini with Nelson Ngamandla. Bye-bye.
And now we'll have an ad break and the news will resume shortly.
It's the OK Easter Hunt for $1 million, and you stand a chance to win your share of $1 million in vouchers. Simply buy any 2 participating products and swipe your countdown card to enter. You also save on Coup baked beans in tomato sauce at only $11.99, Parmalat vanilla custard for a low $21.99, and Clover Classic yogurt for just $24.99. The OK Easter Hunt for $1 million, only at OK. Owners you can count on.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007 *3 hash and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN. Intuthuko lekhonsile yintuthuko lesuka phansi emimangweni usosive lesinesidingeko sayo ingene emiphakathini uboba betikhulu ikhulunyiswe ibusiswe enkundleni nasesifundzeni ite iyofika kuhulumende lowabatimali tekusukumisa leyo misebenzi yentuthuko nenhlalakahle bukela luhlelo sive siyathuthuka ubona imisebenzi lesukunyiswe ngaphansi kweluphiko lwahulumende lekwakha takhiwo letisekelwe ngetimali tahulumende i-micro projects kanye na-regional development fund lolu hlelo lutawungena njalo ngalesine nga-8:30 p.m. kusihlwa nangalesihlanu ekuseni nga-9:30 a.m. sive siyathuthuka intuthuko yetinkundla yintuthuko yemaswati.
Welcome back. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's proceed with the bulletin. The Zimnini chiefdom has met with residents to look for ways of benefiting from government funds. The community headman, Robert Twala, says they are committed to ensuring that members of the community fully benefit from the funds which government has put in place.
Residents of Zimnini in the Manzini North constituency have met to find ways of fully benefiting from the development funds by government. The community headman Robert Twala says With the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was difficult for them to have meetings, but with it weakening, they felt they had to meet to discuss development, including the different funds offered by government.
Sihlangene ngaloko ukuthi kokuqala sitokuxolisa kulesi sengozi ukuthi emva kweminyaka lemibili siyabonga ukuthi uhulumende sewugcine athi sekungaqala ukuhlangana sithe ukukhuluma-ke ukuthi ngetentuthuko njengoba siva nje lapha kokuqala sibuka intuthuko sikhulume kokuqala nokuthi emaqala angavimbele kanjani emangweni mhlabe-ke sesingena kutentuthuko leti tinhlobonhlobo ukuthi leli ve ukuze silithuthukise singilomango wala emzinene sive singenda njani ngiloko sitabanike emaripoti nebenkundleni bakhona la batawukhuluma ukuthi unanathi imali letikhishwa nguhulumende atifake etinkundleni ukuthi abantu batowuthuthuka.
Government has different funds where Eswatini can benefit, including the Regional Development Fund, Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund, and the Loan Guarantee Schemes, to name a few. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla with Linda Dlamini, Manzini.
And now let's have a look at our financial markets.
Bank, it can be.
Moving on, let's have a look at our sports news. Royal Leopard head coach Edwin Matsebula says his players need a psychologist to assist their mental strength after facing a tough time to get inside Mbobela Stadium ahead of their game against South African giants Orlando Pirates in CAF Confederation Group B game. Leopard lost the game with a heavy defeat of 6-2.
Royal Leopard faced South African giants Orlando Pirates in their second game of their CAF Confederation Group at Mbobela Stadium. Leopard was quick to announce themselves when Mzwandile Mabeleza opened the score within the first 5 minutes of the game. 7 minutes into the game, Tabiso Mokenkan doubled the lead for the Leopard side with a beautiful header. Pirates was quick to put pressure on Leopard when they got their first goal in the game, which was an own goal from Makawe Dlamini after a ball that was released by Kabero Dlamini. Pirates star Bandile Shandu doubled the level to give hope to his side before Ghanaian Kwane Pepra gave his side the third goal before the end of the first half. In the second half, Pirates continued where they left off when their captain Happy Jele netted the fourth goal in the game. Kabiro Dlamini was able to hand his side the fifth goal before Terence handed over his side the sixth goal of the game. Leopard coach Edwin Matsebula believes his side needs psychological help.
Psychologically, the players are suffering because of the things that are happening outside. They came from the hotel, they didn't know how to get inside the stadium. So psychologically, they are affected. But going soldier on, and mind you, this is our first time getting into this group.
Mandla Ngazi from Pirates was impressed by few Leopard players beside his side victory.
But from what we have seen, we know the team, the striker from South Africa, top striker, the one who scored the second goal, Moken Kwane, they are number 10 top player, and the Makakulas, both of them. Matsa in the center, number 8 is a top player. We're always worried about them with Mapalesa at the center.
Leopard are still without a point in their group with their next game against Libyan side Al Ittihad this coming weekend at Mbobela Stadium. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabiso Msonera, Mbombela.
Eswatini Tennis Association President Derek Jele says the association has been impressed with the behavior and passion from all the tennis players who took part in the Swaziland Building Society tournament played this past weekend. Jele mentioned this when awarding the winners at Lobamba.
The Senior Swaziland Building Society tennis tournament proceeded this past weekend where the tournament had reached the finals. Newly elected president of the Tennis Association expressed his excitement to the behavior and passion the players showed during the games.
The turnout was very impressive. The seniors will respond to our call so early in the year. We had about 27 women's draw, and we had about 16 women's draw. It's been very impressive, and we're confident at the next event, which will be a doubles tournament sometime late April, and my numbers were expecting them to grow.
Derek Nanyama was the men's winner as he expressed his excitement.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think, the third time or fourth time playing Tulani, so I had to make sure I made more returns, and I made him play returns, and if I played any shorter balls, I was going to be in trouble. I had to, accept that, but I just had to stick to what's right and kept doing that. I had to keep doing that, and eventually it worked on my side, and I came out, at the top.
Tanzile Dlamini was the women's winner and explained that it was indeed a good tournament for her.
Very well pleased with my performance. Today I became number 1 solo bang defeat my finals, but today I made it.
The association uploaded the tightly sponsored building society and mentioned that the next edition is expected before April this year. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini. Bye-bye.
That's all for now. Before we go, let's have a look at our top stories.
Different entities have donated close to 100,000 emalangeni towards the Mahamba gorge hiking scheduled to take place this year. The Ministry of Health continues with its consultations as it amends the Opium and Habit-Forming Drug Act. The Zimnini chiefdom has met with residents to look for ways of benefiting from government funds.
And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update. From myself and the team, thank you for staying with us. Good night.